Good morning, y'all. Good afternoon, y'all, rather. Should I do Toph Talks or Toph Talk? I've been doing Toph Talk. What's better, Toph Talks with an S or Toph Talk with no S? Maybe we'll do Toph Talks. People like talks, yeah, because it's kind of like I'm talking. Toph Talk, it feels like you're going to a talk, which could be boring. You know, like when I think of going to a talk, I'm thinking of like someone droning on about some technical something or another. Toph Talks is like, we're talking. It feels more like a dialogue. I appreciate that, Tarragon. What a fucking rebrand. What a godlike rebrand from Tarragon. By accident, probably. Tea with Toph. I got some tea right here. And by tea, I mean whiskey, because it's 5 o'clock somewhere. So we got a couple things on the agenda today. First, I'm going to talk about my weekend. And in doing so, I'm going to talk about how I came to learn of the Big House C&D, my thought process, kind of what my thoughts around it were at the time, kind of how things have shaken out since then, because I think that's what's on everyone's mind right now. I think that's the premier thing on everyone's mind. And I have some theories that, you know, I've been talking with people. It's not 100% clear kind of what the end game here is, but I'm going to break down my thought process there. And I'm going to tell you guys about kind of my story over this past weekend and how, you know, we handled it at Summit. Because obviously it was very stressful seeing a tournament get C&D'd. Working a Melee tournament, working a Melee online tournament. That was stressful for all of us, right? So I got to Summit, when was that? Yeah, I drove down to SoCal Tuesday night at like 4 in the morning or whatever. And then Wednesday was media day. So we were at the Summit studio for a little bit. We got our briefings and all that. And then that evening, basically, I was hanging out with Oscar and chilling. And after they went back to their room, because they were staying in a room, they were staying together. And I noticed I had a message from Blur, basically. And Blur was basically like, call me when you get this. I just talked to Sheridan and Robin, got some bad news. I was like, okay, I can actually guess what this is about, because I've been talking to Juggle Guy about potentially commentating Big House, and he did mention to me some stuff about, you know, like, obviously this is weird because of the Nintendo partnership, and so I gave Blur a call. It was like 1 a.m. at this point. I was just like, I have to talk to him, because, like, I feel like I know what this might be about, and I'm not going to be able to sleep if I don't hear it from the horse's mouth kind of thing. So I gave Blur a call. And yeah, he confirmed that, you know, he was like, and this was Wednesday night again. And he was like, yeah, so Big House got a C&D. We don't know what this means for upcoming tournaments. I thought I should let you know this. Ken Chen will pop in. We'll probably let you know this tomorrow morning anyway, before you guys are on the broadcast. If you guys noticed, they they privatized all the Slippy Champions League, all the SCL YouTube videos. If you go on BTS Smash, I don't think they're up there right now. Yeah, I mean, it was this really like nerve-wracking thing, because we didn't know if it was just going to be Big House or if it was going to be Big House as the start and then it was going to escalate from there, right? Because like we don't really know what Nintendo's end goal in all of this is. One thing I will say is that you guys probably noticed, at least towards the beginning of the weekend, we were kind of trying to avoid talking about online in the Smash Summit 10 commentary. We kind of tried to like make it not about that narrative. We made a lot of jokes about the socially distanced CRT pods and shit like that over the weekend. Okay, obviously you're not fooling anybody, but it was the kind of thing where it's like, you'll do anything to like just last the weekend, like just make it through the weekend in case Nintendo's watching or whatever the hell. Obviously, if you're watching for more than 10 minutes, you'll figure it out, but yeah, it was very bizarre. I mean, by the end of the weekend, it was pretty much, it had turned into a meme anyway, and it was obviously super obvious. Yeah, so we were just like, dude, what do we even do? Like, what if this event gets C&D'd? It turns out someone looked into it, and it's like, you know, if you catch a C&D, you have a certain number of time, or you have a certain amount of time to comply, a certain number of days to comply. So we were kind of like, we're probably just going to finish the event anyway. Like, even if Nintendo literally C&Ds us, like, you have a certain number of days to act, so we're probably good for the weekend. Do you think Nintendo specifically didn't C&D Summit because they knew they couldn't? So there's a couple possibilities here. The first possibility is the most ironic one, which is that they C&D'd Big House because Big House is a partnered event and they couldn't look the other way for a partnered event. Think of EVO 2013. EVO 2013, the official story was, or the story that everyone heard that might be true, was that a legal team at Nintendo essentially acted, and then the marketing org or whatever, a couple hours later, especially after seeing all the backlash, was like, hey, we actually didn't even give you guys the go-ahead to do this. This legal team, you know, kind of exercised their rights without really consulting with, you know, whatever, brand marketing or whatever, if this is even a good idea. They went ahead and did it, and then they rescinded the decision, right? So imagine that there's a group of people at Nintendo of America who don't want to get in Smash's way, but they want to basically look the other way. You can imagine that they're homies and they want to look the other way, but because Big House was a partnered event and it's so large in scale, and especially because they had that relationship with Nintendo, they had to act, and they don't actually want to go beyond Big House. In my eyes, that's the best case scenario, and I think that all this free Melee, save Smash stuff, and all of the negative press around it is good in that scenario, because it's like, this is showing that every time Nintendo wants to do something like this, imagine they try to C&D more events in the future, imagine they try to C&D LACS3, that's going to be colossal negative publicity, and it's going to start impacting their bottom line, right? On the other hand, it's possible that this is just the beginning and they actually want to go after more events. And in my mind, that's the worst case scenario. I still think this negative publicity will make them think twice. But the world I don't want to live in, the timeline I don't want to live in, is where Big House is just, because Big House is just one tournament. But, imagine they try to go after Fizzy. Imagine they try to go after more of the events like LCS3, Genesis, Shine, tournaments like that. That would suck, right? And I think that at least this PR nightmare that's spun out of Save Smash and Free Melee for them. Because remember what Ben SW said. I like the way Ben SW put it, which is like, okay, so all of this like social media hype and Kotaku and all this stuff, this is all like publicity that, this is a trending, like #1 trending global hashtag or whatever the other day, right? And it's like companies would pay big dollars to generate this sort of hype for their brand. And so you can kind of imagine that for every hour that this hype is happening and this free Melee save Smash stuff is going around, that's like a negative dollar amount, so to speak, if you convert dollars into marketing dollars out of Nintendo's pocket, right? So at a certain point, they actually have to make a decision. How much is this even tenable to do forever? Can they keep C&Ding events? If Genesis comes out and says they're running Slippy, can they do this forever? You know what I'm saying? See, here's the thing, right? Nintendo knows that this publicity sucks ass for them. And if you read, was it Chia this morning that posted some follow-up details on this? I'm not going to read the whole thing on stream, but this was, I feel like probably a lot of you guys saw this. This was a tweet line that was posted 7 hours ago this morning about kind of the PM side of things and all of the hush-hush, wink-wink, nudge-nudge stuff that happened in the background with PM. Mind you, I worked at Twitch for a while from 2016 to 2018. I actually didn't know any of this stuff. A lot of the stuff in this, the Anonymous Smasher, Anonymous 2 Twitlonger, I mean, I knew some of this stuff. I didn't know all of this stuff by any stretch of the imagination. I was very distant from all of this stuff. I didn't know most of this stuff. You kind of heard like rumblings from the esports department. I didn't dig into it too much because I'm kind of not a nosy guy by default. And I'm going to be honest with you guys, I just kind of never believed. Like, I didn't get my hopes. I never got my hopes up. You know what I mean? I never said to myself like, oh, there's going to be a sick-ass Smash circuit. I was like, if it happens, then that's a pleasant surprise, but I never like was like, come on, when's this happening or whatever, you know what I'm saying? So a lot of this stuff is news to me. But in any case, yeah, if you read kind of this story about how, it's like Shia claims she was told by Twitch, they're trying to make the situation easier on content creators, that gather analytics of roughly how much money I made loosely due to PM, and then they'll pay you, but then they ghosted. Like it sounds like a lot of wink, wink, nudge, nudge, hush, hush stuff that was like the PM stuff was all, it wasn't even a C&D. It was all under the table. It was all Nintendo striking deals with Twitch to get them to do this and talking to all these streamers and stuff like that. That's the way that it went down. And I think that's an illustration that Nintendo knows that this negative publicity is a really big deal for them. They tried as hard as they could to avoid this fallout with PM back in 2015. Do you think changing the hashtag to boycott Nintendo shortly before Black Friday would change anything? I mean, I don't know. I'm not, that's not really what it's about for me. I just like keeping it positive myself. And I like the idea of winning over, I don't know, like I want people to realize that it's like, this is more about our community and putting it on our back the way we always have when times have gotten tough. Not about screwing Nintendo over. I don't want to make this a thing between like competitive Melee Smash or Melee players and competitive Smash players and Nintendo fanboys, because that's so drawn out. And if Nintendo wanted to shut down Melee, they could. Yeah, it is in their legal right. They would stop. They would just DMCA every stream. They would DMCA every single Melee stream. They could do that. That is the one thing they definitely have in their legal wheelhouse, right? Again, that's exactly what all of this is. It's the same thing like when I talked with Ben about the RIA and Twitch and kind of the DMCA nightmare that's been happening. It's not, does this company have the right to do it? It's should they even be doing it? And again, I want to emphasize, dude, if you look at, okay, I mean, I don't know how many of you guys realize this shit, but I was looking into this the other day. Do you guys realize, like, low tier City 7 grand finals? If I search this, The Brawlhalla Grand Finals has 1 million views on YouTube. And then if you search Grand Finals Low Tier City 7 for Smash, 37k views, 34k views. I think Smash is definitely a better game than Brawlhalla, from what I can... I mean, okay, obviously I'm saying that as a total layman, and maybe Brawlhalla is fucking sick. But, like, I think when we say that, like, we wanted Nintendo... Like, this is about a mutual benefit, right? Like, if Nintendo... You know, this is on the official Brawlhalla channel. Imagine a world where Nintendo actually did get behind Smash and fostered esports and stuff like that. Like, this would... These videos on an official Nintendo channel... Like, can you imagine? This is what proper dev support does for your game. You know what I'm saying? It's not about, like, screwing Nintendo over. It's about, like, they missed a golden opportunity here. I don't know what Nintendo Versus is, dude. I really don't. I really don't even know what the idea is. They still follow me, which, I don't know, maybe after the stream they'll unfollow me, but whatever. I don't know. My gut read is, like, there's a group of people who work at Nintendo that want to do something really cool, and they can't, and, like, everything I know, everything I heard... you know, whispers of when I worked at Twitch was like, anytime you try to do anything cool with Nintendo, they take forever. Like, they take months and months and months and months and months to respond to an email. Like, everything, it's like a super slow, bloated, red tape-ridden, bureaucracy-ridden company. And by the way, that's people have been asking me why I don't think they I think they might have C&D'd more events than Big House. Why I think they only C&D'd Big House. It's possible that there's more shit coming and they're just so slow as a company because they're so big and bloated and full of bureaucracy that it just takes time, you know? It might just take time. So I'm really worried about that. They seem to do a good job with Splatoon, but just like Smash is clearly their biggest game. And like, it feels like an experiment. It got the green light and then they just couldn't, like, who is Shu and who is Whiskey? Like, what am I looking at here? You know what I mean? What is this? Who the fuck is Whiskey? I'll tell you who Whiskey is. This is Whiskey right here. I'm sure Shu and Whiskey are sick, by the way. Shu or Whiskey, if you're watching this, I'm sure you guys had a sick tournament. But yeah, I don't know what their goal is, dude. I don't know what this whole initiative was. Joined June 2017. I remember we're like, oh shit, this is cool. They're finally gonna come into competitive events. And then they announced their trailer had like Arms and Splatoon and like not really Smash. And we're like, okay, there's no Smash, but that probably means that they're kind of taking their time to get into Smash. And then they didn't do anything with it. Like, Smash is their biggest competitive game by far. I don't know. My vibe is that there's people that want to do cool competitive shit with Nintendo that work there, and it is just hard to get anything done. And I feel for those people. I'm sure the people that run this are dope people and they've got cool ideas, and it's probably just very, very difficult because doing anything cool at a big company is very, very difficult. I say this as someone who worked at big tech companies in the past. You know what I'm saying? Nintendo wants to, sell games that kids can buy and feel like they can jump into and play. And they don't want people to have the experience of losing to someone online and getting angry and not playing more Nintendo games. I don't even really know. I don't know. But they do enough competitive stuff now that they don't even have that argument anymore because they do these invitationals with MKLeo and Mango, and they bring top players and they show top level play. So I don't even know. It's like they can't figure out what they want. It feels like marketing limbo. It feels like they don't have any sort of end goal. How popular Fortnite was, they should know that people losing doesn't stop people from wanting to play more. Yeah, I don't think it does either. It's marketing, but not even competent marketing. Maybe they don't know what they want. I mean, that's what it seems like. It seems like potentially too many cooks in the kitchen. In any case, the vibe we got when we were working at Summit was like, and by the way, this shit killed me because I had a tough time sleeping Wednesday night. I was actually really worried because I remember going into the caster bracket Thursday morning and I didn't get much sleep because I was kind of laying in bed awake all night. And I was like, dude, I just don't want to play bad if this is going to be the last. I was like, this is going to be potentially the last tournament. Imagine this is the last tournament ever and fucking I lose to Hugo. And I was just like, fuck, man. I just want to play good melee if this is going to be the last tournament I can ever play. I told Oscar we can't let Hugo win. Thankfully, Brandon stopped him. I think I played pretty good, all things considered. I was just a mess Thursday. Friday, things started feeling a lot better, I think. We started realizing, like, okay, Nintendo's probably not going to come at this event, and even if they do, it's not, the C&D is not going to kick up. It's not going to kick in time for them to actually take the event down, because we're going to be able to finish the event. But I was super dejected and anxious on Thursday. I was actually really kind of annoyed, because I had a lot of commentary on Thursday for some reason. Like, my schedule on Thursday was such that I played my Lovage set in the caster bracket. And then I actually commentated 6 hours straight with 3-minute breaks. So I commentated from there until 5 p.m. basically. I don't know why they scheduled it that way. They changed the schedule a lot for the subsequent days, but on Thursday I casted 6 hours straight after my Lovage set. There were actually only 5 sets I didn't commentate all day, which was basically the Lovage set, and then 4 sets later on, I had a 4-set break. And that was when I went outside and I called. It was funny because my lunch, they ordered lunch, and I ate my lunch at 5 p.m. Like, my lunch was still sitting there when I got off commentary at 5 p.m. and I went to eat my lunch. And then I was like, I'm going to call Bobby. So my idea was I was going to do a stream, and I was going to talk about this free melee stuff, and I was going to talk about the Big House C&D, talk about how I was feeling. So I was basically going to do this, right? And I was like, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to call Bobby, because I haven't talked to Bobby in a while. I like to talk to Bobby when things like this happen, because I feel like he's got a good head for stuff like this, you know? So I went outside, I called Bobby, and coincidentally, and I was basically gonna ask him, like, hey man, I'm gonna do the stream, what should I talk about? And what are your thoughts on this issue and all that stuff? And coincidentally, he had just done the Ludwig stream, which I'm sure you guys might have saw. And I basically delivered a monologue on Ludwig stream for like 10 minutes, which I think was pretty good. I was surprised how good the audio quality was, considering it was a phone call being captured by a mic into another person's stream on Discord. Very surprised how audible I was. But yeah, that video is on my YouTube if you haven't seen that. By the way, just hit 10K subscribers today on YouTube, which makes me really happy. It was funny because I was at 5K before, I was at 5K last week. Thank you everybody for subscribing. Really happy about that. Thank you so much to all of you. If you're not subscribed, it only takes a moment. So thank you, appreciate that. But yeah, I mean, I ended up not even doing a stream because I got to say a bunch of stuff on Ludwig. It was basically the perfect storm. I only had an hour break, and I happened to get my break and call Bobby the moment he was going live with Ludwig. It was such a crazy coincidence, and then I got to talk on Ludwig stream for a while, and it was a really happy coincidence. And then after that, I was like, okay, I don't need to do my own stream. Like, obviously, Ludwig has way more reach than I do. He gets 20K viewers. So, like, if I got to say all this shit on his stream, like, I'm happy. I don't need to get it off my chest on my own stream anymore. So that worked out really well. That was this video again. And then the rest of the weekend, I felt like went a lot more positive and better. I think we all got a little bit more chipper as time went on. We started memeing on the Nintendo situation. And I think a lot of that was because Free Melee got so much traction. I think the worst world is where some people tried to raise a fuss about Free Melee, but, like, no one was in our corner, because this is what we were worried about. I was talking to Blur about it when he gave me the call. Like, imagine, you know, remember how EVO 2013 had all this public backlash? Because people were like, dude, why is Nintendo not letting this Melee community run this event at EVO? That's tragic. Because all these other games get to run, but Melee doesn't. They don't get to have a stream. That's fucked up. And I was thinking people might not be in our corner this time around, because it's like the situation's a little bit different now. You know, we're kind of doing something that no one else has done before, which was we're using Slippy. You know, we've got community added rollback netcode, you know, and we're trying to do this big thing with it. So, you know, I'm sure you guys have seen a lot of, like, the Nintendo apologists and stuff. They're like, well, these guys are doing this illegal bullshit, blah, 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 blah. And I was worried that was all it was going to be. But I was pleasantly surprised to see a lot of people pull for Melee. I really liked the Cory Doctorow Twitter thread. This is a really good thread. So we had some really good, this is the thread right here. We had some really good publicity, I felt like, from the Kotaku article with Ian Walker. Shout out to Ian Walker. You know, this thread, a lot of celebrities even kind of stepping up to say Free Melee and stuff like that. I saw Asa Butterfield spoke out, which was really cool. Ryan Garcia. I was talking to I don't think he said anything publicly, because I don't think it's really his wheelhouse, but I was talking to Toby Fox about it for a while. Obviously, Ludwig. And then the one thing we had going for us in EVO 2013, this is the thing I was the most worried about, is like the one thing we had going for us was Nintendo knew that because Melee got into EVO with a charity drive, basically, you know, the breast cancer charity drive, it was really bad publicity, and we didn't have the charity angle this time around, which was why I thought Ludwig's announcement of LECS3 with all the proceeds going to charity was so genius, because it was like that was the last thing we had in EVO 2013 that fueled the backlash, and we don't have that this time around. And Ludwig was like, cool, let me provide that real quick, which I thought was a genius move. So thank you, Ludwig, for being a real one. It was a mogul move. It was a mogul move for sure. Right, Moist Critical got 1 million views. Like, a lot of really good publicity on it. A lot of eyes on it. And that's kind of what we have in 2020 that we didn't have in 2013, by the way. What we had in 2013 was we had, as a scene, we had the defense of, like, this is for charity. We're just trying to run our game. You know, there was nothing... Clearly, there was no modding or anything like that, right? So it's like, why is Nintendo even interfering here? This is so weird. We kind of had that angle. But what we have in 2020 that we didn't have in 2013 is we have a lot, like, the influencer game is way more on our side now. You know, we've got people like Ludwig. We have a lot of even just Smash people. Me have just a lot more of a network base. than we did in 2013. You know, we have the benefit of being able to get big time not big time celebrities, but not A-listers obviously, but C-list celebrities to say shit for us. You know, that's what we have now, is like we have a lot more PR reach than we did, and just influencer marketing in general is just such a bigger deal in 2020 than it was in 2013. Like, it was funny, I was talking to somebody, it was like, who's the biggest fucking person on Twitter that follows you? I think for me, it's actually Ninja. I don't know if again, I don't think he's said anything yet, but I feel like he would. Ninja did post something about planning some new stuff. Right, and then, if you remember, people were like, hey, what happened with that? What happened with the Smash shit you were planning on doing? And he was like, well, I tried to do something, and Nintendo wouldn't let me do it. And doesn't that sound familiar? Doesn't that sound dumb familiar? So Action, I always call them AshCon Esports. Action Esports, if you guys know Action Esports, so they've been kind of a long time friend of Smash. They got big with Overwatch, I feel like, but they were doing Smash stuff before that. They have a video out on that they actually tagged me in. I think I show up in this video at some point on basically competitive Catherine. I'm gonna later this week, probably maybe Thursday, probably like in 2 days. I want to do a stream. We're going to watch this. I'm going to talk about my history in the Catherine scene. So basically, Catherine was this kind of cult classic puzzle game. Not a cult classic, actually. The main game is very big, but as a competitive game, it was a cult classic. And, here's me. So here's me. I was a top player in this game, basically. At one point, I was probably the second or third best player in North America. I got second at EVO. So we, in America, we basically built a competitive scene off this game, and we ran tournaments. The Evo side event stream for this game got like 3,000 viewers. Consistent. 3,000 viewers for the whole tournament. For a fucking side event at Evo, that's amazing, right? 3,000 viewers is pretty fucking good. And Atlas, when they announced Catherine Full Body, they actually put out a public statement, and they said this. They said, we are also building an online versus mode for Catherine Full Body because there is a core group of Western fans who run tournaments for Catherine, and to honor our Western fans, that play Catherine versus mode, we are going to put net play in Full Body. And I thought that was so fun, because I mean, they're talking about me. They're talking about us. They're talking about me and Dacid Bro and Moogle Parade and Mike Muscles and now Shaz and Siggy. They're talking about the boys, right? There's no mistaking that. They're literally shouting us out. And I was like, dude, Atlas is a big deal. Atlas, this is the company behind Persona 5, right? This is a fucking, they're a AAA developer. And they said, yeah, like, we think it's really cool that these guys are playing our games in tournaments, and we wanted to honor them. So we're implementing netcode, and we're building a versus mode for our game. And I was like, damn, can you imagine if we got that from Nintendo? That's amazing. That's all we want. So this is what I'm saying. It's like, it's not like there's no precedent. Like, the Nintendo fanboys will tell you, the Nintendo fanboys will act like this was to be expected. But it's not. It's not to be expected. Like, most game devs don't act like that. At least not anymore. Nintendo's got a very antiquated, old, outdated mentality on this whole affair. People have to realize that. Like, it's not ridiculous to expect better from Nintendo. So I'm going to do a stream on my Catherine experience later this week. I think it's going to be really fun. That's probably going to be Thursday at 3 p.m. because I want to contrast free Melee and all this, legal bullshit that Nintendo's doing with what could have been. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It is a shitty business. Isn't that what Cory Doctorow said? I retweeted this specific tweet. Nintendo seems incapable. A company that cared. See, this is a company that cared about profits they would do something with this. Melee's such a fucking big deal. Like, there's so many sponsors that just want to put money into Melee. Like, that's crazy. They don't, like, it's organically such a big deal. If they actually wanted money, they would just find a way to extract money out of it. But that's not what they're doing. That's the weirdest part. They're sitting on a gold mine and they're trying to bomb it. They're trying to figure out how to make it so no one can get to that gold, least of all themselves. It's strange. It's so strange. But yeah, it's free real estate. That really is what it is, right? Oh, it's so strange, dude. What the end goal of all this is, I think my impression now, seeing how all the free Melee save Smash stuff shook out. Okay, here's what I think is going to happen. Here's my guess, okay? I don't think the Big House CNA I don't think they're going to walk that back. But I think that's fine. I don't think they are going to be able to continue CNDing stuff. I feel like it's not super tenable right now. I feel like the heat is so much that I think they want to look the other way. That is my guess. And I think, even though I don't think they will walk Big House back, I think they won't touch LACS 3. It is possible that Genesis won't be able to run this year, but I think non-partnered events, of which there are only really ever a few, I think those will probably be fine. And to be clear here, I just think it's so fucking ironic, right? Because all this time, I was talking to, so Ko tweeted, I know you guys can't read Japanese, but there was a lot of hubbub about this in Japanese Smash Twitter because people didn't really get it. Because Nintendo of Japan just operates differently than Nintendo of America. And Ko tweeted at one point yesterday, he was like, wait, I didn't realize all those events that had Nintendo's logo on the stream and shit, I didn't realize they weren't sponsored. They weren't making money from Nintendo. I thought they were making money from Nintendo. You're telling me that it was like they weren't supplying anything? Because people have spread the Save Smash, the Anonymous Smash 2 tweet longer. That's been getting spread around. And so Japan Twitter has started kind of reading that. And they're like, there was this big misconception, which was that Nintendo was actually sponsoring these events. And so people were kind of like I saw a lot of the Japanese Twitter users are like, well, that makes sense. I mean, if Nintendo was sponsoring it, obviously, but now it's like, wait, you're telling me Nintendo didn't actually put any money into this thing? Like, what? Then what? Why? Then why? You know, like, just cut the partnership, which is what Robin probably wanted to do in the first place, right? And Robin was just going to be happy saying, okay, we're no longer a sponsor, a partnered event. It's so ironic because the whole question everyone always had was like, okay, all we got off of all this bullshit was now we have Nintendo running Splatoon ads on major tournament streams. What else do we get? Is that it? Is that all we get? Is fucking Splatoon ads? Like, what else do we get? Then people were like, well, you know, these events are basically buying the assurance and the peace of mind that Nintendo won't cancel their event. So isn't it fucking ironic that those events are exactly, in particular Big House, are exactly the events that got hit first? So they didn't buy protection. They got fucked first. You thought it was one way, but it was the other way. They played us like a damn fiddle. Yokai Nell said, straight up, yeah, dude, I was saying, I think that's kind of the playbook. The playbook right now is actually taunting the bull. We're kind of in a, I don't know if you guys realize, we're kind of in a chicken game with Nintendo. It's like the first episode of Kagi. We're in a car, and Nintendo's in a car, and we're driving towards a cliff, and we're seeing who's going to bail out first. And we're basically saying, look, buddy, like, we're going to keep putting on these events. How long can you keep doing this? Because we could do this all day. Or like Nintendo's Dormammu, and we came to bargain. That's kind of what's going on here. Has anyone made that reference yet? Someone needs to make Dormammu with come to bargain with fucking Photoshop Ludwig's face over Doctor Strange. And then Sakurai's face over Dormammu.